FC Barcelona president Joan Laporta has informed Xavi Hernandez that he will not be continuing as the first team coach.
The way that it's been done, the way that it's been managed, it's such a bad look for Barcelona.
Xavi, he gave them an opportunity to hang him out to dry, and they did.
FC Barcelona is in one of the most chaotic stages in its entire history. It's an absolute mess. It's being run like a madhouse, sacking a club legend, not winning any silverware. So let's rank everyone and everything that went into this season. Xavi, 6 out of 10. Walking out of a season with no trophies at all at Barcelona isn't going to look great on any coach, and he is no exception. There's also been plenty of times where he deserved criticism. I've said it before and I'll say it again, most specifically when opposing managers make big changes that change the game, most specifically from Carlo Ancelotti, Michel at Girona, or Luis Enrique for PSG. In the biggest of matches, good coaches make changes if Barcelona is playing well, and every time pretty much it took Xavi too long to respond to those changes. If Xavi responded faster with subs or other decisions, things could have gone differently, but that doesn't mean everything was terrible for him this year either. There were also times where Xavi did a very good job doing something incredibly difficult in rallying the team to be better and to fight for something, like when Xavi announced that he was leaving at the end of the season. It seemed like it made the team work together in a way it hadn't before and led to a decent run of form, even if it only lasted a little while. This side was 1 or 2 decisions away from being great or being right up there with all the best teams, but that is the difference between the top teams and where Barcelona are right now. Laporta and the Barcelona board, 2 out of 10. Now, I don't think I would have needed to even rate them if it were 2 months ago, but the way the past few weeks have been going, it's an absolute madhouse at FC Barcelona, and a lot of it has to do with Joan Laporta, Deco, and the rest of the lunatics not putting together any tiny bit of unity in this side. They're constantly making different decisions, saying different things to the press, and it's leaving us constantly questioning what is going on. And it's not just the fans, it was also Xavi not understanding what he is going to do, if he is even going to have a job. If we even completely disregard the fact that he had already said he was going to leave, and then Laporta begged him to stay just to send him away 2 weeks later, that is unacceptable in and of itself. 2 out of 10 is probably generous for him. I'm not saying he's never been successful or he hasn't done good things. It seems like the Nike deal is going to be decent, but unacceptable treatment of this squad, of this side, the fact that no one is on the same page. It's very clear that a lot of people want a lot of different things. But I think I do see what Laporta wants. He just went in a completely wrong way to get that. I think he wants more of a coach than a manager for this Barcelona side. And by that, I mean not a Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp, Mikel Arteta, or Arsene Wenger. Someone who's going to be there for years and make signings themselves and change the team and build the team around their tactics. I think Laporta wants to be the head of the club, make the decisions on what this side is going to look like, and then bring in a coach who then makes the decisions of how he can get the best out of those players, kind of how Perez does at Madrid. That's not how any of the great teams in the Premier League do it, and it's not how Barcelona have done it, or I don't think it's the idea that they've wanted to do for very long, but it seems, at least right now or the next couple of years, that's what Laporta is going for. But kicking out a club legend this way and making it seem like he said the wrong thing in the press, which is absolutely incorrect, it's disrespectful and disgusting to me. That's not to say I'm not thankful for Laporta and the things that he has done in the past, but this was a miss by him, and it's not his best work, for sure. Neither was my barber's haircut, but I lost all my hair, so it's very upsetting. The season as a whole, 5 out of 10. With no trophies, not winning much, and having a lot of bad moments, it could have been easier to be much more critical than I was, but I think we can come out with a lot of good from this season. I still firmly believe that we are a better team than we have seen recently, and I firmly believe if Araujo doesn't make that foul and get that red card, we beat PSG. We still secured second place while making it to the knockout stages of the Champions League for the first time in 2 years. But more importantly than that is that we got to see the breakout of some incredible youngsters at Barcelona, and a lot of that thanks goes to Xavi. We can still be critical of Xavi for playing them so much. Lamine Yamal played a ton of minutes the entire year, and Kubarsi's minutes added up as well. However, there are a ton of really bad moments. The loss to Athletic Club in the Copa del Rey, both of the losses to Real Madrid in the league, the loss to Real Madrid in the Supercopa, the loss to PSG, the loss to Villarreal. There's a lot of mess that I'm sorry I just reminded you of, but that we have to remember when reflecting on this entire season. It wasn't a good year. Now it's time to rank the Barcelona squad. I can't get to every single player, but here's the deal. If you want to hear my thoughts on a player, leave a comment down below and I'll try my best to get to it, give you my thoughts. And right after this, we're going to get into all of our players that are out on loan, and I'll give you my thoughts on their seasons as well. So remember, 1 is the worst, 10 is the best, and I'm going to be going from more or less most minutes played to least amount of minutes played. Starting with Gundogan and Koundé, I think they have both been very good in their best positions, but haven't been used there this whole season, leading to some bad run of form for each of them, specifically when Gundogan was playing deeper and when Koundé was playing as a center back after his injury. However, they were still good enough when they represented and when they showed up, and they ended the season on fantastic form, an 8 for both of them, despite some drawbacks and some falters in performance throughout this year. Lewandowski was pretty simple to me, 6. He just was not good enough consistently enough throughout this year. He was very poor in the beginning of the year. Not only was he not linking up well, he just wasn't finishing his chances, and that led to him having something like 8 goals at the turn of the year. That's really not good for him, and especially for how much we're paying him. But he did turn a lot of it around in the second half of the year. Basically, after I made my video criticizing him, from that point on, he was very good. His link-up play was better. He's still slow and, isn't great when he drifts out wide where he loves to be, but he is allowing for some space to be created for midfielders to score, and we're seeing that more recently with Rafinha, Fermin Lopez, and Gundogan. That space would not open up if it weren't for Lewandowski making decent runs, and he's still walking out with something like 18 or 19 goals at the end of this year. It's not terrible. Lamine Yamal and Pau Kubarsi were about as perfect as anyone could have gotten, 10 for each of them. Both of them were fantastic and had pretty low expectations, relatively speaking. I'm excited for both of them to be used, but they should have been used less. That's not a reflection on them, though. Cancelo and Joao Felix were both pretty disappointing to me, so I'm going to give them both a 6. I don't think they were terrible. I don't think they were bad, and I think they had relatively similar seasons to every year they've had their professional careers. Cancelo was very solid going forward. I think he hasn't been as good going forward in recent matches, but we know he was good, and we knew he was bad defensively. That's exactly what we got this year. And maybe it would have been easier if we had Balde to take some of the pressure off of him on the left. For Felix, though, I think a 6 is generous. He did not play enough good football. He was good at times. There were some crazy moments, some great finishes, some special moments that helped this team a lot. But there were also a lot of moments where he struggled to get into the play, and I think Xavi was left thinking of not knowing or understanding where he fits perfectly. Ter Stegen and Iñaki Peña. Now, both of them, honestly, were disappointing to me. Ter Stegen, I can't give him any more than a 6. I think even that is probably generous. I don't think he was terrible, but I also don't think he made incredible game-saving saves the same way he did last year, and his ball playing was good, much better than Iñaki Peña, but I'm left feeling like it wasn't enough this year from him. 6 is what I'm going to give him. Iñaki Peña, a 4. There were some few games there where he was incredible, but there were a lot more, in my opinion, where he wasn't, and his ball playing was never good, and there were weird instances where he couldn't communicate well, or I don't know, his positioning was weird with Araujo. It was just a mess. I don't think he deserves more than a 4. Araujo and Christensen were both big surprises to me, but for different reasons. For Araujo, I'm going to give him a 5. Not because he was terrible the whole year. I think he was really good in a lot of games, but because he made a lot of really bad decisions, and there was 2 or 3 runs of form where he was very poor. Not at all the Araujo we know, and I think it reflected a bit of the confidence of this side. I think this was his chance to step up and prove that he was the guy. He was the second or third captain for FC Barcelona, but I don't think he did that, and I'm disappointed in him because my expectations were so high. So I'm going to give him a 5. That's not to say he was bad, but because my expectations were there, I have to give him a 5. For Christensen, though, it all has to do with expectations as well. I don't think we expected him to fill in that pivot role, even though we had heard about it over the summer. He did a very solid job as he warmed up and deputized there, but the problem was we really didn't see much of him, at least in the first half and then in the second half of the season as well. He just wasn't fit consistently enough, and then even now, when he's been used as a pivot and he has been healthy, he can't go 90 minutes. He's maybe going 60 if he's lucky. And so to give him more than a 7, he'd have to play more football. Frankie, Pedri, and Gavi, my midfield, my boys, the guys that, we've seen for the past 2 years, 3 years, and 4 years for some of them. For Gavi, it's a 1. I don't think it could have gone any worse than it did. A 1 out of 10 is all I can do. It's so disappointing. It's not on Gavi. I'm not saying he's a 1 out of 10 player. I'm just saying that this season was about as bad as it could have gotten for him. For Frankie, I'm going to give him a 6, and maybe that's generous. Not to say he was bad the entire year. I want more from him, and I don't think we saw the best Frankie de Jong this season. And I don't know if we're going to see another Frankie de Jong in Blaugrana. But for Pedri, I just want him to stay healthier. We're repping Pedri right here. Check it out at roludesigns.com. It's on sale until the Champions League final. But he's just not giving me enough in enough matches. I have a feeling he's going to be able to develop a stronger body and get into a rhythm where he can play more football. But it wasn't this year. 7 out of 10. And that brings me to Fermin Lopez, because Fermin Lopez, Pedri, and Gundogan all play the exact same position, but Fermin, I'm going to give him a 7 as well. He played a lot of football in the beginning where he looked good. There were a lot of exciting moments where ESPN FC were talking about him like crazy, and then he quieted down. When he wasn't getting minutes, I don't think he was good. I criticized him plenty, so I can't really give him more than a 7 for those less great moments. But next is someone I'm not as happy about, Vitor Roque. Now, I can't give him much more than a 4. He was decent in the moments that he came, but I think expectations for him were kind of all over the place, and it's not his fault that he's getting a 4. It's the fact that he barely played any football, and in the moments he played football, I don't think he was great. He looked better in the last match that he played, and I think I want to see more from him. Now that Xavi's gone, he's going to stay. It should be exciting next season. I'm not against him. I don't think he's a bad player, and I'm excited to see him play for FC Barcelona next year without Xavi. Now, Balde is going to get a 3. I don't think he had a great start to his year. I think it took him some time to find his form, but we really missed him since his injury. I think having just a little bit more defensive solidity could have really changed the game against PSG, against Real Madrid in the league, and Girona as well. Winning those tight games, Balde can help, and we didn't have him, so a 3. It's not his fault. I'm excited to see him next year. Rafinha, though, was wildly impressive to me. I'm going to give him an 8, and I could see you argue a 9. The only reason I'm giving him an 8 is because his position and job in this squad wasn't really found out until maybe January or December. Xavi was playing him on the right wing a lot as like an overlapping right winger until Xavi found that second striker role on the left next to Lewandowski while Lamine played out on the right. That worked a lot better, helped his stats a lot more, but the fact I don't think his spot is very clear in this side. I think he's valuable, and I think he's going to go this summer. It's my honest opinion, but I think it's going to happen. Ferran Torres, my man, I'm going to give him a 7. I know a lot of people don't like him, and I understand it. He isn't a winger. He isn't really a striker, and, so what is he? This year, he's worked well in that second striker position, as well as decently through the center. The problem is he's not a great finisher, and he can't really play striker all of the time, but I think he has the same amount of goals as Joao Felix, and so he has made an impact when he has come in, and he deserves, in my opinion, at least a 6. I'm going to give him a 7 because I do have a little soft spot for him. All right, here's a quick rundown of everyone else in this squad, and if I miss someone for some reason, comment below, I'll get to it. Marc Casado, 2. Mark Yu, 6. Marcos Alonso, 3. Hector Fort, 7. Sergio Roberto, 4. Oriol Romeu, 4. Inigo Martinez, 5. And that is the FC Barcelona squad. But now, let's move on over to our loaned players. We have a couple fullbacks on loan in Alex Valle, Julian Araujo, and Serginho Dest. To cover them all up really quickly, they all had pretty decent seasons, but they all suffered from injuries. I think Serginho Dest is going to get sold. I think Araujo will stay, and I think Valle might as well. And then at center back, we have Clement Lenglet and Eric Garcia. I want both of them as far away from my squad as possible, and now that Xavi's not coming back, I think they will be. I'm very happy that Eric Garcia is not coming back. I didn't think about that until literally right now, but I'm kind of happy. Clement Lenglet also, get away. Stop. Stop. You're done. Get away. But that brings us to, I think, our last player, Natsu Fati. He didn't do well at Brighton. He had a few cameos, but I think De Zerbi wasn't sure where to play him. He was playing in some awkward positions at times, sometimes as like a cam attacking midfielder, and then other times as a striker that dropped back. It just didn't work. He scored some decent goals, but I don't think he was good. I think he really struggled to influence the play and find a position. De Zerbi's barely been picking him at all, and so like a 3 maybe. I didn't rate the other guys. I'm going to rate him because I know a lot of people want him to stay. I don't think he will now that Hansi Flick's coming back. If you were watching this video, I'm going to give you a 10. Thank you so much for supporting me this year as I've made Barcelona content. I really appreciate you. And I've dropped merch now. This is the newest drop where we got the Spanish boys. We got a Pedri drop. And we also have Kubarsi and Gavi as well. So if you guys are interested in them, they're going to be on sale until the Champions League match, and then they're going to go up to the regular price. But thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy this video, you can jump on over to this one about Rafinha or this one about Fermin Lopez. But thank you for watching. You guys mean a lot to me, and so does FC Barcelona. So Visca Barca, Visca you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.